Hey good people, welcome back to Beauty and the Frizz. My name is Kara. Whether you're new or returning, thank you so much for stopping by and hanging out with me. This should be mimosas and makeup. Y'all, it's really Thursday night. I just got off the treadmill. It has been a long day, but I just felt like filming and I've gotten behind on my monthly roundup videos. So I'm going to be doing two separate videos, but they're both going to be for the months of July and August. So this video is going to be only for the eyeshadow palettes, and then I'll do another roundup of everything else. And I want to do it this way because I just don't want the video to be too long, and I've been revisiting my collection and trying some new things, so there's a lot to discuss. So if that sounds good to you, keep watching this video. Let me know what you think. And if makeup is your therapy and your love, if it makes you happy and you want to hang out with those who feel the same way, definitely consider joining the community. I'd love to have you back. All right, let's get started. So how are you? I'm good. I feel very relaxed, and I'm not doing my 9:30 bedtime, but maybe 10:30 tonight. Tomorrow's Friday, so give myself a little leeway. I'm doing so much better with going to bed on purpose, and I'm happy about that. But sleep is so important, y'all, so I'm really trying to get that together. Do y'all know Marky woke up at 3:30 this morning? He did not go back to sleep. And I was just like, what is going on? This puberty is so much. So let me know how you're doing in the comment section or the chat, whichever you prefer. And let's get this party started. I also changed my camera a little bit. I made it a little higher because I just felt like, I don't know, I'm just playing around with the camera and the settings and all that stuff. Just trying to get the best, the best view and situation possible. All right, enough of that. I do have my list, so I'm doing this roundup, but then I do have a list of all the palettes I've tried in 2024. So that's going to be another video that's coming. So I needed to do this one first, and then I'll bring out the rest of them. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, I tried to keep these pretty much in order. Some of them may not be, but I did try. So we're going to start with the first one, which is the Legend of Audra from Adept Cosmetics. Let's go ahead and revisit this beauty here. Wow, I'm just trying to think about this palette because this was, what, 2 months ago now. I mean, I'm never really disappointed with the Adept palettes, their vision, their formula, unless it's the Minka shimmers, which they haven't been doing. So I was happy with this palette, and I don't feel like Adept is repeating themselves when it comes to the color stories that they have. I just never really have an issue with their palettes, and I'm always excited to see them. So I think this is a great addition to their lineup of palettes, and I'm always thankful to Adept when they decide to send me PR. It's always like a surprise because, I don't have a code or anything, but I do love showcasing the Adept palettes. Now the question is, would I have purchased this one? I probably would have purchased this one. There's a lot of very nice neutral shimmers, and I have enough mattes that if I wanted to do a neutral look, I could just pull out my La Cienega palette or any other palette that I have to complement this look. But I do like the choices of the shimmers a lot in this palette, more than the choices of the mattes. Lately, I've just been in such a neutral phase that I've really been liking the neutral stuff. So I could definitely make some neutral looks with this, especially using this little 6 pan right here, some of these other shimmers, and just switch out the mattes if that's what I wanted to do. So that is Legend of Audra, and I'm happy to add this to my eyeshadow collection and my Adept collection. Ooh, okay, next we have a palette that I revamped. It is from Melt Cosmetics, and this is the brunette palette. Let me turn this down. I feel like it's a little bright. This will be better for seeing the shadows. So this is brunette, and I did take out the two lightest blend out shades because I just didn't feel like they were super necessary in this palette. And what I did was I replaced them with two shades from the Gemini 2 palette. My Gemini 2 palette, I was really excited about Gemini 2, but it just didn't perform on me the way that I wanted it to. Not as far as the formula, but I just felt like the gradient of the reds just didn't look different enough on me. So I just decided to temporarily, or maybe permanently, I'm not sure, add them to this palette, and I think that makes a cute color story. I've also had two purple shades here, which has made a very cute color story as well. Even though these shades do look kind of hard panty, they performed really well. I grew to really appreciate brunette. I really didn't care for it too much when I purchased it, but I considered myself to be a bit of a melt stan, and I still want to be secretly, but I'm not anymore. Well, you know, I'm not gonna say that. Maybe not for their eyeshadow palettes, but Melt has other products that I really enjoy, like the Slick Waterline pencils and their cream blushes. And actually, oh my gosh, I'm getting back into, they're not near me, but what do you call them? The gel liners. I just used one last week, and I just love how they dry down and they're so pigmented. And I'm like, oh my gosh, am I starting to get into these liquid shadows and liners? So I was happy using this palette and bringing it out, and it's just neutral, but you got like a little pop here. And I think this is a really cute color story that I created. So that is brunette. Next, we're gonna get into the Natasha Denona Yuka palette. I continue to really love this palette. And this is a palette, I probably said it in another video, I remember using this for the video and just not bringing it out again for a long time, because we also had the Nomad Okavango palette that had a really similar color story. And I also had the Clarity Croc palette, which also had a similar color story. So I didn't give a whole lot of love to the Yuka palette, but I love this palette. It's so earthy, and I really love the shimmers in this palette and the choices of mattes. They're like these pukey, grungy mattes. And I know this palette was on sale, so I don't know. I know that people tend to really either love this color story or hate it on them. So I don't see any in between. I love this color story on me, and she's got the cream to powders in there. The shimmers are a really nice formula in here. Like, they really shim, you know, these are some of her best ones, I think. But it's a cream to powders for me. I really have grown to enjoy them. I didn't care for them when I first started trying Natasha Denona's shadows, but yeah, I love this. And you know, she had the liners to go with them, even though, I don't know, I feel like this one's kind of drying out. I have all three of the liners. The green one is still doing pretty good, but these lighter ones, I don't know if they're the best formulation. But I really, really like this collection, and the Yuka collection in the palette. And yeah, I'm going to continue to use it. I've worn it a few times this summer. I remember taking it with me to New Orleans in June. And maybe I did take it to Vegas. I'm not sure. But it's on my July list. So we're going to go ahead with it. Now, we're getting into the rest of the makeup I took with me on vacation to Vegas. So next we have the Bejeweled Eyes to Hypnotize palette. And I did do a video with this from Charlotte Tilbury. And you know what? Is this one of my favorite palettes in my collection? I just feel like it's such a staple palette. It's so easy to use. The formula is great. The shimmers shim, but it's not quite like, I don't know, I was gonna say it's not quite like an indie shimmer, but I don't know, it kind of is. I'm not gonna do a whole lot of swatching in this video because I have all the stuff I did film, but the shimmer quality is great. The matte quality is great. I really just wish that Char would come out with another color story like this. This is the only palette that I have of hers in this format. I do have some of her quads. I did have the one that came out after this, but I ended up selling it because there was a little trio that was like, it was like for a ghost. And I was just like, this is a waste, you know, because these palettes are expensive. But I just think they're so easy to use for all occasions. Like you have Happy Glow, Love Glow, Dream Glow and Seduce Glow. I've used this palette more than I thought I ever would. And it took me a year to use it, actually. I bought this during one of the Sephora, rouge sales at the end of the year. And it sat for a year. And once I got into this more softer makeup, neutral phase, this palette just has been a treasure in my collection. And I was glad to bring it out. It's very trusty on vacation. So next we have another palette that I really did not like at first, and that is the Natasha Denona Zindo palette. And the story with this palette, if you know it, is I bought it and I returned it. I just felt like this isn't Natasha's normal formula. The shimmers were just kind of more satiny than shimmy. They're not like the ones in the Yuka palette, but I've come to realize that I'm not always wanting the shimmy shimmers, if you know what I mean. I'm not always wanting the Adept shimmers or the Indie Flips. I'm just not, or the Cleonas. Sometimes I just want something that's chill, and I feel like that is what Zindo gives me. I think the other reason that I wasn't truly into the Zindo palette is because if you remember what the mini Zindo looked like, this palette, is this the one? I just don't think this palette was an extension of that, especially this area here. I can't remember. I think there was a greenish shade, but I wouldn't pair those two together. Like when you see Mini Metropolis, I can see, okay, this is like a little mini version of Metropolis. And the same like with the Love palette or the Bronze palette. But this one, the mini, which is what came out first, I don't know. So this wasn't what I was thinking about. But anyway, long story short, I repurchased this when I could get it on sale, and I absolutely love this palette now. I really do. So it's just funny, you know, how things come full circle. But I think this is a great palette, and I love how you can do your warm looks and your cool looks if that's what you're going for. Natasha Denona is probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite, eyeshadow formula. I just really like her color stories. I know every palette isn't for everyone, but when I think about her whole line of palettes, I think she has made something for that everyone can wear. So you've got the shimmy shimmers, you have the ones that are more satin, you have some lighter color stories, but you do have some with some depth. Honestly, I don't know what my girl is doing right now with these Anita palettes. I want us to get out of that phase, because it's reminding me of like Pat McGrath with the Divine Roses. You know, I don't want all of that. I feel like we're getting stuck, and I want to get unstuck. I don't want to be on that ride. So hoping that we get something else, but I don't know if I'm too hopeful right now. She might continue to ride the Anita wave, and that's okay for her. You know, that's all right, because I keep buying the palettes. So there's that. Next, we have the All Done Up palette from Blend Bunny Cosmetics. Man, I really love this palette too. I really enjoyed using it. I used it a few times on my Vegas vacation, and I just think it is great. Once again, you know, what I like about Blend Bunny is the gradient, and I love the quality of the mattes. You know, the shimmers in this palette are nice, and she's changed her shimmer formula over time, and these shimmers are really good, but it's the mattes and the layout for me. So, you know, I didn't do well when she did the Sickly Sweet. I didn't do well with that. I didn't get it either, because this is what I value in this brand, and what I think is really cool. I think this is the first brand that really made me value having blend out shades, which is why I took out those two shades from Melt, because I was like, well, I didn't need two of those blend out shades, you know, but I was just like, these are light. Like, what do you need shades like that for? And my blends palettes taught me what you need those for. And even though it might be a subtle difference, that little light gradient between, you know, your eyebrow and then the deeper shade, or if you want to like soften a look up and make it more ethereal, like I love that. And I just think this palette is a great one. So really enjoying that one. And I do like this size better than her traditional size. So this one has 20 shades. I can't remember what the other ones have, but this is a really nice size. I think it's just a perfect size for me. So next we have another palette from Melt, and that is the She's in Parties palette. And I almost started to alter this palette at one point because I do have tape. Ooh, I do have some tape on these two shades because I just felt like they weren't the greatest. But I'm really glad that I left this palette intact. I think this is one of Melt's better palettes, and I'm trying to think how I felt about this color story. I'm almost sure that I liked this color story when I purchased it because I'm sure I got this when it launched. I like it even more now, like using it again after, you know, probably a year or so. I really appreciate this palette, and I think it's a really, really good color story. It's purple, but it's a little muted, and that's where I am in my eyeshadow life right now. I'm really enjoying like the more muted looks, and this one is so like purple grunge, smoky purple eye, and I just think it's a great palette. I love the color scale on here, and like this one right here, the shade Last Caress, like I love that shade. That is such a really nice shade. And this one has the really nice, you know, my biggest issue with Melt is the consistency, because a lot of times you can be like, yep, their mattes are so great, but sometimes they're not, but most of the time they are. And the shimmers, it's like you're just gambling whether or not they're going to be good. Overall, I think She's in Parties is one of the better palettes and a really nice color story. So thanks to my friend Lock Maiden here on YouTube and Instagram, I used a ton, or a bunch, I won't say a ton, of Viseart palettes, and she heard me say that I really don't use my Viseart palettes a lot, and she was feeling the same way. So we did two collab videos, one where we use one palette for, or a different Viseart palette for 5 days and do a look. And then we picked two Viseart palettes for each other to combine and create a look. So these are all the palettes that I used. And overall, even though there were some looks I really liked, I still don't see myself using the Viseart palettes. I can't really explain why. I don't know, because the quality is great. I'm just going to show you the palettes that were in the collab videos. And you know, Viseart has some great qualities. One, the mattes are excellent. A lot of the palettes are very petite and small if you are someone that travels. And Viseart eyeshadows have a long shelf life. Not that that always matters, but their shelf life is 3 years, and that's good because, you know, we're spending this money. We have the Petite Fours Violetta, and I really did like the look I created with this one. This one has like that little duochrome shade right here. You can see the flip. I have one that I'm missing. It's the Bouillon one. That's like, it was a petite one like that, and it had like golds and a black. I did use the Petite Shimmers Koi. This one's a nice one too. It's a nice one to bring along, like if you have a neutral palette or a lot of mattes and you just want a little pop of shimmer. And I think their shimmers are okay. I would compare these maybe to like the shimmers in Zindo. And sometimes I want a little bit more than that, you know? So that's kind of where I am with Viseart. This is the Le Marat palette. Not sure if I'm saying that correctly. Then we have the Cashmere Charmeuse Intendu, which is this one. Kind of feel like, I mean, this one's cool, but this one's just kind of like an ashier color story, and I'm not always in the mood for that on my eyes. But again, formula is really nice. And then we have the Soleil La Plage or La Plage. I don't know what the future is going to be of these palettes in my collection, just because I don't feel myself using them. I mean, I had to force myself to use them and be challenged to use them. And, you know, I don't know if that belongs in my collection, to be honest. but I do think Viseart is a great brand, and I know many people love Viseart and that they have a nice formula. It's just one of those things, like, you know, when you vibe with a brand or click with something, it's like we're not clicking up, you know. All right. Oh, okay. Next we have the Plume collection. All right. So the Plume collection was the collab with my girl Jamie, also known as Makeup on Your Radar 2, and DD Signature. And as Jamie was creating this collection, she filled me in on all the parts. So I was really happy to see her dream come into reality. You know, I thought that was just, for me, it was just a really nice process to see. I did a live stream and then I did an official video and used all of the palettes, and I had a really great time with them. I think that, and also I think the PR boxes sold out, the Effervescence palette sold out. Like, it did really, really well. And I think many people were happy to support Jamie, you know, with all that she provides and how hard she works to get us the makeup and fragrance news, all the beauty news about what's coming out. And like, I was so happy for her. These color stories are very unique and vibrant and inspired by the peacock. And I have to say, this collection really challenged me because I haven't been going for color. I just haven't been. But the quality of these palettes was great. The quality of the mattes as well as the shimmers. And I really ended up liking the looks that I created, even though I felt a bit stumped about what I was going to do with the color stories. This one's Eloquence. The first one I showed was Extravagance. I also loved the pricing of the collection. I loved that you didn't have to get the whole thing. I loved that they were these kind of mini color stories, because if all this was in one palette, I'm sure many people would be overwhelmed. We have Effervescence here, which had all these beautiful iridescent dual chrome shades that you could use by themselves or as a topper. And then last we have the Elegance palette, which I think the Elegance one, yeah, this one was my favorite of the 4 palettes. I love the shimmer in here. I feel like it's like just so different, but it has a green flip in there that kind of picks up with these 2 shades. So really creative collection, really well thought out in my opinion, and just the whole presentation of it, I just think it was really beautifully done. So yeah, I will treasure having this in my collection. Again, congratulations Jamie, because the collection really, really did well. So that's the Plume collection. We've got about 5 more palettes left. So next we're going to talk about the ColourPop's Mandalorian, which I don't think I had ever worn. And I wanted to get this one because I have the child. But I also didn't get the Darth Vader one. So it's not like I was being a completionist. Anyway, this is a really interesting color story. You have that kind of green brown duochrome here. And I brought this out because I just wanted to see how I felt about ColourPop after not using them for so long. I don't really think ColourPop has a bad eyeshadow formula though, at all. And I'm waiting on my ColourPop haul because I pulled out all my ColourPop stuff, like my lipsticks, my lippy sticks. And I was like, you know, I've got some really, really nice products from ColourPop. But I feel as though I outgrew ColourPop for a while, except their lip liners and eyeliners, because I continued to use those. I think it was that ColourPop at one point was coming out with collections too often for me, and I just was like, I'm just tired. You know what I mean? Like, coming out with a new collection every week and the collections were starting to look the same. I just wasn't into it anymore. I wasn't into all of the collabs. Like, it was just too much. So I just kind of stayed away. But I was on ColourPop, that was last weekend, 2 weeks ago. And just, it was one of those late night things. It was like 30% off. And I'm like, ooh, I do need some, well, no, I don't. But in my mind, I thought at the time, ooh, I do need some liners. Ooh, let me try this. Ooh, let me try these lip stains. I mean, it was just dumb. So I got some stuff coming from ColourPop, and I'll be honest, like I'm at the point now where I really do want to pay less for makeup and still have really good quality. And I think I'm gonna get that from what I ordered from ColourPop. I really do like their lippy sticks. I have like 3 of them, and I brought those out and I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot how much I like these. Let me get the vault. Little stuff like that. That's what I was doing. But I think I'm gonna be happy with that purchase because the amount of stuff I got from what I spent, like if I was at Sephora, I would have got 3 things. And that's the truth. So that's the Mandalorian palette. Oh, didn't even talk about it. I did wear this like on one of my days to work, and the look was cool. This is not my favorite palette though. I mean, it just wasn't, but you know, it's cool for what it is. I'm not a fan of mattes that have sparkles in them either. And ColourPop likes to do that for whatever reason. And I cannot stand that. I don't know what other brands do that, but I'm sure there are other brands that do that. And I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. So next we have Glaminatrix, a Barely Basic. And this one, I did compare it to All Done Up, but they are different. They're different enough that I don't care. I like them both. And I think the shimmers are very special in the Barely Basic palette. I mean, this is an indie, this palette is me right now. I would say this palette describes where I am in my makeup life. I'm loving these curated, or what do you call it, layouts, these columns where it's like, I can throw it together. I can make it daytime just using these. I can make it nighttime and smoky if I want to. I can just keep the look cohesive within the columns, or I could mix and match. You got these iridescent shades here that you can put on the lid as a topper by itself or as an inner corner. Wait. Then you have like a little bit of a deeper one, and then you have this gradient. I think this palette is really, really nice. And this one has 4, 8, 12. Has the same amount of shades as the Blends palette. And again, I mean, yeah, All Done Up. And there's some similarities, but like I'm fine having them both. I don't regret purchasing this one at all. I really like this. I think all matte looks would be great with this too. And just like one of these shimmers in the inner corner, I have to try that. Because I've just been doing a lot of one and dones, a lot of bronzer. Haven't been doing a whole bunch of shimmer. But I do like a little shimmer, a little matte highlight. It could be a shimmer or like a matte highlight in the inner corner. So I do like that, and I'm really happy. Was really happy with this palette. Haven't purchased from Glaminatrix in a while. This was the first time, and they've come out with some, I would say, spicy neutral palettes in the meantime, or like before this one. I just never really gravitated towards them, but this was just the color story that really pulled me in this time. All right, next we have the Nomad Fuji 5 Lakes palette. Oh, I had such a good time with this palette. I love the packaging, like it's textured, it's like a art piece. And I just think this color story is really unique. I think I did 3 looks. I can't remember if I did 2 or 3 looks, but I was really happy with this palette. I mean, Nomad continues to outdo themselves, and I was really happy with the color story. I just think it's a neat palette. I looked up a bunch of information and put the Fuji 5 Lakes on my bucket list. But love the reds here, really good reds. I mean, their matte formula is so good. It's just so good. So I was happy with this. This shade, Burnished Beach, is probably like one of my favorite ones in this palette. I love that shade. Like, it's like a marigold. This is such a good shade. Yeah, Nomad, they really did it with this palette. So was happy to be gifted this one. Ooh, wait a minute. This one right here. This is the second palette I have from Simply Posh. So I have Coastal now and Cozy Cabin, and both of these palettes have surprised me. But you know what? I shouldn't be surprised because it has the layout. It has the ease, but the looks I did with this palette, I was so thrilled about these looks. I looked at this and compared it side by side with Cozy Cabin, and I was like, I don't care. I'm happy to have both. These are magnetic. You can move them around, but like, who needs to move them around when you have the pre-made layout? I mean, you got how many looks? 6. 6 pre-made looks, and then you can, you know, mix and match. And I ended up like mixing and matching actually, which I was surprised about, but very happy with this palette. Very happy with Cozy Cabin. Then I looked on their site to see if there were any other palettes I like, but some of the other ones are a bit vibrant. They still have the layout, but like this was really nice. I don't know how much I'll use like some of these really bright blues, but I can figure something out for them. All the shimmers are great. I had a really nice time with this palette. I think my favorite area is this area right here. I love like those 6 shades. So yeah, this is, I don't know, I like this one too, that one. Yeah, great palette. Very happy with that one. All right, so next we're gonna talk about the ItsBel Tropical Nights collection, and I'll talk about the blush palette here because it came, you know, with the collection. So this was the collab from ItsBel Cosmetics and Bree C Beauty, and I was so honored that she stopped in on my premiere of this. Now I'll be honest right now, this palette really threw me. I didn't know what to do. I was just like, this is a lot as far as the colors. Oh, that's a dog barking. I was like, that better not be one of my kids. Jamie let me know that this was arranged in quads. So like I do see it, but I think my favorite part of the collection would be this top 8 shades. The bottom, like this quad kind of threw me off a little bit, and this one was just super blue, and so y'all know how it is with that. But like this quad would be my favorite. 1, 2, 3, 4. Like that's really, really nice. This was my first time trying ItsBel Cosmetics, and ItsBel was very kind and asked could they send it to me. I didn't have any issues with the performance of the shadows or anything like that. I just had an issue trying to figure out what I wanted to do or what I wanted to create with this palette, just because I haven't been doing a whole bunch of color. I think I was really more excited about this blush and highlighter. I think it's really beautiful, really vibrant, something I'm gonna have to use a light hand with. This highlighter is a very fiery duochrome. I wish you could see like the hot red green, because I don't feel like it's coming through. But this is almost like Red Giant from Terra Moons. It's just very pretty. There, I think you can see it better there. Like, it's a really nice duochrome, and it's so smooth, and that's gonna look so nice on the skin or inner corner highlight or brow bone or something like that. And then you have these blushes that go with the collection. So overall, I think it was nice, and this was like an homage to Hawaii, I believe. Bree C Beauty is Hawaiian and Puerto Rican, I think. She might be Puerto Rican, I can't remember, but I know that's where ItsBel is from as well. So I was very happy and thankful to be sent that. And finally, we're gonna end up this roundup with my BYOP, which was Forgotten Shades. This is a really nice palette, actually. I'm looking at it for the first time since I've done the video. So a couple of these shades, well, 3 of them, was supposed to be 4, are from the Glaminatrix Woodfire quad. So I think it's 1, 2, and 3. And then there was a shade that looked like that, but this is a Sydney Gray shade, but I thought it was from the Woodfire. Or maybe it was this one. I can't remember. No, it was this one. And then like I have my Tiara shade here from Sydney Grace that I cracked on screen. Got some Terra Moons here, some Cleona Circle shades, and I want to say it's Sydney Grace. Like, this is the perfect color story for me. I mean, this could be a mothership. Can't y'all see that being a mothership? No, you can't. Oh, it's not pink. Yeah, I know. Speaking of mothership, I feel like we're overdue. We're getting into the holiday territory, so I'm not really sure what's happening with that, but I still do get my hopes up about a mothership, and like, will I like it? Is it gonna be pink? You know, all the teasers, the sequins. So I don't know what Patricia is doing, but hopefully she's coming out with something. All right, that is my eyeshadow palette roundup for June and July. Those are all the palettes that I did videos on and wore on vacation and all that good stuff. And so just to catch myself up, this is just the best way to do it, because the bucket of makeup that I have, we'd be here all night. So at some point soon, probably this week, I will have part 2 of this roundup where it's going to pretty much be everything but the eyeshadow palettes. Let me know if you have some products that you've been wearing like for the past, because I wanted to start setting like makeup goals, videos and all that. And I did do like 1 or 2 of those, and I might still do some September goals, but like, I have really been going through my collection and finding some forgotten makeup. So you will see I have 2 of those videos up, like, oh my gosh, I used to really want this stuff. Like, this is forgotten makeup. So I haven't done September goals or anything like that. I might try to just pick back up on that in October once I get caught up on everything. So anyway, let me know what you think about these palettes. I'm gonna have these plus a lot more to talk about when I talk about my 2024 eyeshadow palettes that I've tried so far. So when I do that video and mention these palettes, I'm gonna be very brief with them just because I've discussed them in depth here and I don't wanna keep y'all all day again. So that's gonna be it. Thank you so much for taking out some of your time and hanging out with me for another one today. I hope this was therapy for you. It always is for me. And until I see you again, make sure you are being gentle with yourself. Talk to yourself nice, stay safe, and I will see y'all in the next one. Bye.